The institution of slavery in the Americas was a system built on profound dehumanization and violence. It fundamentally reshaped the lives of millions, particularly those of African descent. Within this brutal framework, Black women occupied a uniquely vulnerable and complex position. Their experiences were distinct from those of enslaved men, marked by specific forms of oppression. Understanding their plight is crucial to grasping the full horror and legacy of chattel slavery. This history demands a clear and unflinching examination. Under chattel slavery, enslaved individuals were legally considered property, not persons. This legal status stripped them of all rights and protections. For Black women, this meant their bodies, labor, and reproductive capacities were entirely at the disposal of their enslavers. They were denied autonomy over their lives, their families, and their very selves. This complete lack of legal standing created an environment ripe for exploitation. It ensured that any abuse they suffered went unpunished by the law. One of the most horrific realities for Black enslaved women was the pervasive threat and experience of sexual violence. Rape and sexual assault by white enslavers, overseers, and even their sons were commonplace. These acts were not isolated incidents, but systemic tools of control. Such violence was rarely, if ever, prosecuted. The legal system offered no recourse for enslaved women, effectively condoning these atrocities. Their testimonies were inadmissible in court, leaving them utterly defenseless. Sexual violence was deeply intertwined with the power dynamics of slavery. It served as a brutal assertion of dominance by white men over Black women. This exploitation reinforced the racial and gender hierarchies of the era. Beyond control, forced sexual encounters often had an economic motive. The children born from these unions were automatically enslaved, increasing the enslaver's property and wealth. This practice, known as breeding, was a cornerstone of the slave economy. Enslaved women were thus reduced to reproductive instruments. Their bodies were commodified, valued for their capacity to produce more enslaved labor. This economic imperative drove much of the sexual exploitation they endured. The notion of consent was entirely absent in the context of slavery. Any sexual act between an enslaved woman and a white man was, by definition, non-consensual. The power imbalance was absolute, rendering true consent impossible. Historical records and narratives from formerly enslaved people consistently attest to this reality. They reveal a pattern of coercion, intimidation, and outright force. To suggest otherwise is to fundamentally misunderstand the nature of slavery. Despite unimaginable suffering, Black enslaved women were not passive victims. They developed various forms of resistance, both overt and subtle. Their agency manifested in countless ways, challenging the system that sought to crush them. Some resisted through direct rebellion, though often at great personal risk. Others employed more subtle tactics, such as feigning illness, slowing work, or sabotaging equipment. These acts chipped away at the enslaver's control. Protecting their children and families was another profound act of resistance. They nurtured cultural traditions and maintained familial bonds against all odds. Their resilience in the face of relentless oppression is a testament to their strength. They also used their knowledge of herbs and healing, sometimes to aid fellow enslaved people. This communal care fostered solidarity and defiance. Their spirit of survival was a powerful counter-narrative to their subjugation. The trauma inflicted upon Black enslaved women had profound and lasting psychological effects. The constant threat of violence, the loss of autonomy, and the separation from loved ones left deep scars. These wounds extended beyond the individual. The intergenerational trauma of slavery continues to impact descendants today. The historical experiences of Black women shaped family structures, community dynamics, and racial identity. Acknowledging this legacy is vital for healing. Understanding the truth of Black female slaves against white men is essential for a complete historical reckoning. It forces us to confront the darkest aspects of American history. This knowledge is not meant to shame, but to inform. It highlights the systemic nature of racial and gender oppression. By examining these difficult truths, we gain a deeper appreciation for the resilience of those who endured. It also underscores the ongoing need for justice and equity. This history serves as a powerful reminder of the consequences of unchecked power and dehumanization. It compels us to learn from the past to build a more just and equitable future. The voices of these women, though silenced for centuries, must now be heard.